We're going to start this review with the man who is emblazoned on Jimmy Korderas' shirt. Orange Cassidy takes on Trent Beretta. This match comes from Trent feeling Orange Cassidy is selfish and ending former friend Chuck Taylor's career. Match starts fast and goes pretty hard and into the crowd. Eventually, Trent starts beating up Orange Cassidy pretty good until he removes the turnbuckle pad. Orange Cassidy does the same, but it's Orange Cassidy that gets the win after his exposed turnbuckle pad is the one that gets hit. Post-match, Trent attacks Orange Cassidy until Don Callis and Chris Statlander separate the two. Jimmy, what I really appreciated about this one, I want your thoughts on the whole thing, but what I really appreciated about this one, that sometimes I think it's overlooked, and it's something that we critique kind of often on the show, is these are two guys that are supposed to hate each other. And the match felt like two guys who hated each other, not like just two pro wrestlers who were having a wrestling match.
No, I agree with that. Of course, my only critiques, if I will, the beginning of the match where they went outside, they were so long out there that it just lost some flavor for me. It just, if you're not going to enforce that 10 count rule, if you're not going to enforce any rules that are in place, then the rules don't matter.
Yeah.
That was the only, like that, two things. It was kind of like bookend with two things. Then once they got back in the ring, I was completely fine with what they did. I liked the way they did the finish because it kind of reminded me of that old Eddie Guerrero lie, cheat, and steal, but I could cheat better than you to steal a victory. So I like that idea. The ending, the aftermath, the pile driver on the steps, I was like, oh, and then he did that deal with the frame of the
catapult
ring,
thing,
catapult into the, and the issue I had was he should have been laid out.
Yeah,
I think that's I know some people say, well, it's a different era. They would have been laid out. No, you should be in this era too. That was devastating what he did to him, and then have Don Callis come over and kind of protect him and want to do that sort of thing, and Statlander as well, and make it look like it's concerned, because when baby faces get in that kind of peril, then there's sympathy on them. It's a different kind of sympathy that they have for him. Trent Beretta's facials were actually really good. I liked his facials in this as well. But it's like, again, the little things that need to be, the nuts and bolts that need to be tightened. That I would have preferred that instead of him getting helped up. Didn't even get helped up, really. He got up under his own steam, and that kind of didn't sit well with me. But the body of the match when it was in the ring was fine, because like you said, it looked like a fight.
We argue a lot on this one, Jimmy. I think I agree with you across the board. I will say, I knew you were going to comment on them being outside the ring, and I get where you're coming from. I feel like in this one, I let it slide because it made it feel like they hated each other more, but I 100% get what you're saying, and I'm not going to argue that point.
The only reason why I didn't like it, especially in this particular case, was because what was to come later that night.
You want to know why I didn't like it?
Let me get to you. I got a point.
Why can't we be friends?
This is the one time, George, I was going to agree. Me and Jimmy were going to agree. There was harmony in the room, and then you come bulldozing.
I'm heated. That's why. I can't wait to get it out.
Fine, George. Why did you hate it?
Because just like 15 seconds before, you had Edge come in and say, oh, I talked to Tony Khan, who's in Jacksonville. He just made my match a no-holds-barred match. And lo and behold, like right when the match starts, you already see them in the crowd brawling. I'm like, that completely, like, this means nothing right now. Like, I don't know why they're even there. I do agree with the fact that I do like it's more brawling style. I don't want to see no holds. We talked about this in the first match of Backlash, where that was just kind of a pure street fight. And like, I don't mind that they went into the crowd. I just don't like that Adam Copeland just said that his match was going to be no holds barred. Number two, and again, I know a pile driver is like, now it means nothing in AEW, but I remember a time there it did mean something. So I just hate the fact that it's just kind of like a transitional move. But yeah, 1000% Jimmy. Like he got pile driven on the steps, and then he did that little thing, the catapult thing that Arn Anderson did all the time, and he just like I'm thinking like this guy should be almost dead, and he's sitting there getting up. My biggest beef with this match, and it's just maybe not a lot of wrestling. I think a lot of wrestling is great, to be honest with you, is I don't think people realize how subliminal professional wrestling is. It's something I didn't really realize as much as I did when I personally started, training to be a wrestler. Like I was never like, oh, I want to do 450s and whatever, but I, a lot of it was like, let's learn the basic, let's learn the chain wrestling, let's learn all that stuff. And a lot of it was like, why do we have to learn that stuff? Because you're setting the tone. People don't realize just how like hidden there's like a hidden code in some ways when it comes to pro wrestling. You do something now to make it mean more later, whether it's later in the match, whether it's later in 6 months, whether it's in 2 years. You do all these things to make it mean something. So the fact that they're just, I'm just going to throw out a pile driver just for nothing. Like, you don't realize how impactful that is, but on the opposite end, to make people want to tune out. And when I saw that, I'm like, man, you got this thing going, dude, make it bigger, like make it mean something. All these moves that you guys are doing, all these like pile drivers on the steps, and it just means nothing. Like, people don't realize that. It just, man, like I know it was frustrating. I liked the match, but a lot of the things that surrounded the match, it was just like what are we doing here?
Really quickly, if I can, too, at the beginning of the match, before the bell even rings, if they fought up into the crowd, you would have got the same effect. And not lose that we have rules here that have to be enforced or anything like that. That's all it takes. Just do it before the match starts, and then once you get back in the ring, ring the bell, start the match.
I do like that. I think, I'll be honest, it didn't bother me that Adam Copeland said that before. That didn't take anything out for me. So that part didn't really bother me that much. But I will say where I think Jimmy and I agree a lot on this. Now I'm forgetting the points I wanted to talk about. But I do think at the end, the pile driver, what bugged me about the little catapult move he did is just visually it felt very lackluster after a pile driver onto stairs. And so let's take like how we view these moves out of it. It just felt like a pile driver onto stairs and then doing the little catapult felt like he did a concerto to someone and then hit him with the little cookie sheet. Like, well, what is that? Like that, like you already did the move. Like, just let the move sit instead of trying to do something else. And I agree. I think that not only do I think Orange Cassidy should have needed help up, but I agree with Beer Money here, who says thought Trent never should have lost. Orange doesn't need the win, and he looks strong walking out. I agree. I feel like with the trajectory of what Trent is doing, a strong win would have made him a much bigger deal going forward as opposed to losing here, Jimmy.
Yeah, why don't you use the pile driver on the steps as a move on the outside and see him struggling to roll him back into the ring and have that as a finish? Why not? Because on anything thrown into the steps or anything like that is not a disqualification, because and people wonder why wouldn't it be a disqualification? Because the steps are part of the set, just like the protective rails and the guardrails and the announce table, everything like that is part of the set. So it's considered part of the ring. If you throw someone into a ring post, that's not a DQ. But if you were able to pick up a ring post and hit it with it, now it's a different story. So it's considered part of the ring setup. So use that. Why not?
There's so much good story in this match that just kind of like it just didn't leave anything open for a sequel. It's like you had so much room and so much depth there, but without having to fill it in. Like, it's just words on a piece of paper as opposed to actually continuing with the story.
Yeah, I feel like they could have got more mileage out of Trent winning. We'll see where it goes. I do like that Trent's has something going, but I would, like I said, I think a dominant display by him would have been good. Corey Pride says Jack just discovered why Orange Cassidy is a crappy wrestler. I disagree. I think Orange Cassidy is great. I don't think anything that happened here or even the things we're saying say he's not a good wrestler. These are just little things that I think, as Jimmy would say, tighten the screws. I actually, in the end, I like this. Like I said, I just felt like there was a lot of stuff that, I wish they talked about, and George, I want your thoughts on this. Orange Cassidy has been somewhat palling around with Don Callis, and he also kind of cheated to win. Is there an influence of Don Callis we're starting to see on Orange Cassidy?
I think so, but again, it goes back to what Jimmy said, and I would have loved for this to happen, is like, just so they can have more depth to the story, is lay out Orange Cassidy and Don Callis comes in and like, try to add, like, I would have loved to see that just to kind of add more mystique to the story. Yeah, I mean, I do think there's something to that, because we don't see Orange Cassidy ever really cheat to win. He find ways to win, which is always cool. But the fact that he had to cheat to win, that kind of does show like what is kind of going on with this Don Callis thing. There's a lot of things that happen in this segment that I feel like it could have been better presented. But overall, like I mean, I think it's a step in the right direction. I just feel like it could have been a lot bigger than what it is.